Hi, I'm Tony Fleming, and this is Fleming's Ultimate Garage.
Hey, thanks for joining us on today's video. Listen, when you see a car like this, do you go LOL, do you go LMFAO, do you go WTF, or do you go 396? All those things out there sound spectacular, but 396 is the captivating one. A Super Sport 396 4-speed in your hand rolling down the road the way this car sounds, right, could definitely change your life. So let's take a minute, we'll look the car over, see if somehow by the time we're done with this, you're so enamored by it that actually we have to fly this car on its own seat on a plane to get you because it won't be there soon enough, all right? So how about we start with paint first, because that's the most important to me, because I like to see shiny, shiny cars, because the effort that goes into making a shiny car is way deeper than most people think. For instance, anybody can paint a car. Even you and I can, and I've never painted a car. It's all wrapped up in the prep of the car. It's what happens underneath here, because if you've ever painted a wall at home, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. You didn't sand it really well, you mudded it up some, and you fixed a hole maybe where a picture was, and then you go to paint it, and sure enough, that hole is still there, and you still see that lumpy part. That's exactly what would happen on a car if you don't put some time in to making these panels work the way they're supposed to. Keep in mind, these are pretty long panels back in the day. This panel right here, you won't find on many cars today that long. This door is still a pretty heavy door, but listen to how great it sounds. All right, so come on up here. Fathom Blue is just a spectacular color. One of the reasons it's so great is because it has metallic in it. And what I want you to be able to do is if you're, if this is, let's say this is the car for you and you're showing a friend or something, let them see the words and how clearly every word can be read in here, because that's the way you want to purchase a car. Seeing a car that you can't see all the words, all right, but you can see that there are some words outlined there, they're not crisp and clear, says that when that car arrives to you, it's not going to be as shiny as you think, because pictures hide the clarity of a car because you're far away. Here it's nice and close up and you can see. So I want to show you why some restorations are a little better than others, okay? For instance, all new chrome and headlight bezels. You say, well, what's the big deal about headlight bezels, Tom? Well, you're right. There's nothing big deal about headlight bezels, but a lot of times people put in old screws in a new headlight bezel, new screws in the headlight bezel, a front tag bracket. Well, a front tag bracket, how much is a front tag bracket? 40 bucks, who cares? It's the little stuff that adds up to what a great car looks like. When you see this car and you go, wow, that's a great looking car, you may not know exactly why it's a great looking car. Here we're pointing out these kinds of things with new chrome, new stainless, new emblems, stripes. For instance, the stripes themselves are clear coated over. That way you can wash and wax the car, right? Without worrying about tearing these stripes. That's going to happen over time if it's not clear coated over the stripes, and that's a whole extra step in painting the car. It costs more money to do that, right? It can be $700 to $1,000 more to re-clear over the whole entire car. It's worth it, all right? So some options as well. For instance, this right here, flapper hood. The flapper hood is a big deal. Most people say, well, it's just a little slot in the hood. Well, no, it's not a slot in the hood. This right here can be about $3,000 if you try to convert your current car that does a Super Sport hood like this to this right here, because you have to buy a new hood, you have to buy the flapper system, you have to buy the solenoid, the vacuum actuator, get somebody to hook it up to the gas pedal properly, vacuum operated as well, and you need the air cleaner, you need all of those parts to work together so it actually, when it starts, it looks like this. All right, when you get on the gas, it looks like this. This is not how you're doing, this is how you do it. All right, so wrapping up in here and trying to finish things off. Now, for instance, like let's say you wanted to show this car nationally. This right here doesn't have bias ply tires like it's supposed to have circa 1970. They're radials, and that's designed so that you can drive the car more. A radial was a 50% improvement in the driving. We can change those to bias ply tires if you wanted to. Just ask us, no big deal. Matter of fact, there's not much we can't do to the car here, and that's what people love about doing business here, is that we can make a couple subtle changes or big changes, whatever it is you want the car to be. We can pretty much make sure that happens. Anyway, Super Sport wheels, it's a correct size as well. Inside there is power disc brakes, all right? Most people don't know that disc brakes came standard on the car, but not power disc brakes. In here you can't see right now, but power steering in this car. Power steering was not standard on a Super Sport, it was optional, and it makes a big difference when you're driving these cars, all right? 396 call-outs with fresh emblems on there, all nice and painted. And now we're going to walk around the back and just look at some of the other Super Sport stuff that you get, plus some things that maybe, perhaps if you were to race somebody, they might see. All right, so the Super Sport rear end of the car, this call-out is awesome. Nice big Super Sport tips like they're supposed to have, okay? Stripes here done correctly, not all the way down to the end of the stripe and wrapped around of the trunk. They're done cut off like they're supposed to be. they're the width they're supposed to be. Here, this too, if we could look down, take a peek in here. Check out that, it's all detailed nicely. It's not spray bombed black in there. The shocks are a different color, the gas tank's a different color. The F41 suspension showing the sway bar down at the bottom. Right? This is a really nice driving car, and the reason it's a really nice driving car is not because of the top of it. It's the bottom of the car. This is nicely restored, it's beautiful underneath, and it drives just like that. All right, so let's peek in here for a second. All right, some of the things I like when I open the trunk of a car, this is a detailed and ready to show trunk, and I'll show you why. For instance, like new gaskets in here, right? This is all painted and this is all buffed the way it's supposed to be. They didn't just spray it and it looks dry. It's shiny, it's glossy. You want to go to a car show, that's exactly what it should look like. Decals in here and a spare tire. You say, well, Tone, it's a spare tire. Every car comes with a spare tire. No, half the cars, maybe 3/4 of the cars don't come with a spare tire. This one has it, and it shows, again, the detail of the restoration, and it's included not just a steel wheel in there, but another Magnum 500 as well. All right, or Super Sport wheel, or SS396 wheel, whatever you want to call that. All right, trunk mat, splatter coated trunk the way it's supposed to be. This does have an upgraded sound system in it. We can tuck those wires up there for you if you want. I left it there so you could see that this does sound a little nicer inside the car, even though the rumble of it sounds the best. You may want to put on some tunes later on. All right. All right, so we're going to move to the best part of the car, and you probably think to yourself, wow, they're going to open the engine, we're going to get to see all that. No, the hood pins are the coolest part of the car. I have hood pins on my dog. Everywhere I have hood pins. I have hood pins on the front door of my house. I have hood pins on a Honda that somebody might drive in the family. Nobody in my family drives a Honda, by the way. I'd like to point that out. Anyway, not that I'm against that, I'm just letting you know. All right, so let's look at money spent here as well, because this is the detail stuff that if you're going to restore your own car, you could spend upwards of, in this right here, $10,000. $10,000 in here, how is that possible? Well, I'm going to show you how that's possible, so come on up here and look at this. All right, so for instance, brand new radiator, new horns, new wiring, brand new rebuilt engine, okay, power steering, power disc brakes, new wiper motor, new wiring back there. This is painted black like it's supposed to be instead of all of this painted black. This is painted separate from the car, the way a car is supposed to be restored. Cowl induction hood, which we talked about, with the solenoid there in place, and the vacuum line on there as well. All right, fresh air cleaner, so it seals up against that, and you get the fresh air from when that flapper door opens. And this, my friends, is a nicely restored engine compartment, and this car rolls down the road. All right, so come on inside here, because although this car is beautiful outside, where you're going to spend most of your time is going to be inside here. So a restored interior can be very expensive, especially if you finalize the details. For instance, like the shoulder belts, if you can see right here. A lot of people don't put those in because it's a pain. You have to get all that done while you're putting in the new headliner. But like this car has a new dash. This has the upgraded rally dash in it, in the sense that it has not only the Super Sport dash like it's supposed to, but it has a factory tachometer. The clock is working in the car. Well, Tom, what's the big deal about the clock working in the car? How could that possibly matter? Well, how that could possibly matter is 2 years after the car was new, the clock didn't work. And the fact of the matter is 50 years later, the clock is working. All right. This does have an upgraded sound system in it, although it looks stock, so you can plug in things like an MP3 player or some other digital device and have some great tunes, but all while keeping the dash stock. Buckets and console. These cars mostly came with bench seats. This was a pretty expensive option, and so I just think looking at it, it says, wow, this is really, really nice and complete. Console, you got to have that. Great looking steering wheel like it's supposed to, and everything in here, from the mirrors to the lights and to all this stuff is freshly restored, and it's a great place to be. I'd also like to point out too that in the back seat here, look how much room is in here. That's why I love Chevelle so much, and I love a Camaro as well if we're talking about GM cars. But as far as room goes, you're going to find some more room in here, some more comfortable car. Rides a little different. It is a full frame car as well, so it rides really well, and it sounds great when you open and close the doors. All right, so as we close out the video on this, we're talking about a frame-off restoration. Imagine a car with 19,900 and some odd thousand parts, right? All spread out, all taken apart, replated, refurbished, and restored. How long would that take you to do, right? Can you do it? Probably, maybe, maybe not. I know I couldn't do it. But somebody has done this, right? We've been involved in it, And it's now at a fraction of what it would cost you. And time-wise, you could be enjoying this car next weekend if you wanted to. You could be enjoying this car tomorrow if you wanted to. You can drive down right now and come pick it up. But it is a wonderful car. It sounds ridiculous, and this thing makes a lot of power. It is no longer 396, 350 horsepower. It's 396 significant horsepower, and you'd be very proud to own it. Anyway, call us 301-816-1000. We'll tell you all about this real deal 396 Super Sport.